Were you waiting for the Peaky Blinders movie? Oh, I was. Were you? If so, don't just sit there, go watch it right now. And now, for those who's already seen it or don't plan to watch it, here's a spoiler-filled review. If you plan to watch it, turn this video off. No, I'm serious. Turn it off. Season 6 came out a whopping 4 years ago. What happened there? Does anyone even remember? Well, for those who do, okay, I'll remind you. Season 6 was packed with events, but the main ones were: firstly, Tommy stormed over all his sins and what he believed to be GSP course. Secondly, the illness that forces Tommy to rush to wrap up all his affairs and pass them on. Thirdly, all the political games and family feuds. The entire season revolves around this. In the finale, Tommy says goodbye to his family, hands over his business to Duke and Arthur, blows up his estate and goes into the woods to die alone in the GSP trailer. Just as Tommy has already put a gun to his temple, the ghost of his daughter Ruby appears to him. She tells him he isn't sick. Tommy checks the newspaper and realizes Dr. Halford is a Nazi and a friend of Oswald Mosley. The diagnosis was a fake, intended to force Tommy to take his own life. Tommy finds the doctor, but instead of killing him, he decides to spare his life, symbolically dying as a gangster and being reborn. Sees it burning, mounts a white horse and rides away. And here's the sequel itself. Grandpa Tommy is retired and he's plenty of time on his hands. He's handed over the family business and it's tried to sort out his thoughts. He's let his hair to go grey and put on his glasses. But Tommy pays a visit to Ada and tells him that his son has started pulling some real crap. So he refuses to go along with this shame. And what about Duke in general? He's Erasmus Shelby after all. He has completely taken over control of the Peaky Blinders gang. Duke turns out to be much more brutal and impulsive than his father.
According to behind-the-scene materials, Keoghan was given a massive amount of room for improvisation. While Murphy's acting is meticulously calculated down to micro-expression, Keoghan was a true live spark on set.
And this boy hasn't had him around
Yeah,
at all.
he's been abandoned.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I decided to punch the ground and,
That's right.
and I nearly fucking broke my hand, and I remember you going, man, you don't have to do that. I was like, nah, I'm in it. You know, so I had to kind of go on with it because I wanted to do it and prove it.
He loots, steals weapons from ruined factories, and he's turned the old Harrison pub into a filthy den. His life philosophy in the film goes like this: the world doesn't give a damn about me, and I don't give a damn about the world. In short, there's almost no direct inheritance of Tommy here. Yes, Duke bears the Shelby surname and formally leads the Peaky Blinders, but he feels more like a pitiful copy. He inherits only Thomas crudely and thirsty for power, completely ignoring his inner moral compass. After all, Tommy followed moral principles above all else. He went through the hell of the World War I, trenches in France, and that drama forgetting him in specific but unshakable patriotism. In the series, he worked for Churchill and played a long game with Oswald Mosley, trying to bring the fascists from within. Duke, on the other hand, views World War II and the Bleed as a business opportunity. He even steals from his own army and conspires with the Nazis. For Thomas Shelby, that would have been an absolutely red line that could not be crossed. And despite all his crime, Tommy, especially in the early seasons, had a consistent goal: to put his family out the cut, legalize his operations and minimize the risk on his loved one. Duke acts out of resentment, useful maximalism and a desire to prove himself. It's important to him to look like a boss, not to actually save the family from disaster. Credit where it's due, Tommy's character has truly become iconic. He's a cult anti-hero who acts coolly and judiciously, thinking several steps ahead. Compared to him, Duke is just an impulsive kid who can't hold a candle to his dad. This, by the way, is clearly confirmed by the scene in the pigsty.
The pigsty, that was our first day, wasn't it?
That was our first day. That was mad.
What a shit day.
Literally.
Anyway, it's total chaos without their father. They can't do anything right. At this moment, Tommy visits Kaolo. Wait! Stop! I'll explain who that is. As it turns out, she's Zelda's twin sister. Zelda was Tommy's first love even before he went to the trenches of World War I. And most importantly, Zelda is Duke's biological mother. The question is, did she manage to pursue Tommy? Yes, it didn't happen without magic and forbidden tricks. She's a fortune teller and has a reputation as someone capable of communicating with the afterlife. She said that Tommy must returning of Birmingham, take his son under strict control and fix the situation. And then this guy comes back. Overall, the film itself is very well made in terms of composition. The visuals are enchanting.
But while our man was packing his packs and driving to Birmingham in a dramatic fashion to an epic soundtrack, total chaos ensues. Ada, who didn't wait for her brother to get his acts together, started digging into shady dealings with the Nazis on her own, just to try and stop this chaos somehow. And what do we think happens? She gets shot. Yep, she gets brutally shot right on the street, and it's done by Nazi henchman John Beckett. And the worst part? It was Duke himself who leaked the info about her. The death of his only sister isn't just a red flag anymore. It's a massive neon banner screaming, "Tommy, it's time to hand out some beatings." You know, when I started watching the first season way back in 2021, I thought I was watching a story about gangster. I thought I was watching a show about razor blades hidden in baseball caps, illegal bookmakers, and the dizzying rise of a criminal empire.
Right. No fighting. No fucking fighting. No fighting. No fucking fighting!
Then all of that faded into the background. Season 6 was the turning point when the focus shifted entirely of Tommy's own struggle. But while watching The Immortal, it hit me. The truth is that Peaky Blinders is and always has been a devastating family tragedy, the Shelby Deases. It was a family fundamentally shattered by the trauma of World War I, desperately trying to build a fortress of money and fear to protect themselves from a world that had rejected them. But you can hold of walls that are crumbling from the inside. Think about it. The empire saved no one. It comes from there. Arthur's soul was halved out by addiction, and his anger was used as a blunt instrument by his own brother. Jonah was completely consumed by the war even before he realized who he was. Polly managed to stay in control, but unfortunately it didn't help. And Ada never managed to escape the Shelby name. Tommy thought he was building a dynasty. He thought that if he just got enough money, enough power, enough legitimate businesses, they would finally be safe. But here lies the irony. The more he built, the more family members he had to lose. And at the end of the film, Duke doesn't inherit a criminal syndicate. He inherits a haunted house. The crown is heavy. The tragedy of Peaky Blinders lies in the realization that Thomas Shelby fought the whole world to protect his family, only to realize that the most dangerous thing for the Shelbys was Thomas Shelby himself. Okay, it's about the tragedy and the plot itself, but are the characters themselves really unbeatable? Yes, I think so. The characters have become really icons of anti-heroes and at some point even fashion icons. Tommy finally tosses his memories aside and storms into Birmingham. First, in classic style, he sets his grandmother straight. He gives his son a good scolding, and next up is John Beck. This guy is doing all this for a plan to flood Britain with counterfeit money, a whopping 350 million pounds, printed in concentration camps. The economy is in the toilet, and he promised Duke 70 grand for logistics. Tommy realizes he can't pull this off alone, so he quickly rounds up the old gang: Uncle Charlie, Curly, and Briggs in Hayden stacks. The classic Carter's operations begins. And here we come to the climax. Night. The Liverpool Docks. Fog, grim, everything just the way we like it. Beckett delivers his counterfeit goods. Tommy devises a plan worthy of a special ops mission. Part of his gang attacks from the burgers, while he snakes through some abandoned tunnels. And then, meanwhile, Duke is playing both sides. Tommy is fighting for his life and trying to crawl out from under the rubble. Luckily, he managed to do so and arrives just as the party is getting started. Next, Duke throws Beckett and a massive shootout breaks out. Explosions everywhere and Nazis flying in all directions. But this is the hard-boiled. There are no happy endings here. Get your tissues ready. In the midst of total chaos, Beckett floored the gas pedal of his car to run Tommy's over. Duke pushes his dad out of the way at the last second, but it's too late. Tommy suffers fatal injuries. The epilogue delivers the final blow, a traditional Romani funeral. Tommy's caravan burns on a hill, with photos of everyone he's loved hung nearby. Holohands Duke his father's memories. Now he's left alone with the empire and his sins.
What sucks, they didn't fully develop a relationship between Duke and Tommy. They purely conveyed the motivation that prompted Tommy to come to Birmingham and fix the situation. This was the intention, but Duke was shown to be as emphatic as possible. The point was that Duke inherited only sin, no fatherly love, but Tommy conveyed emotions right up to the very last moments. Duke, due to the fact that their relationship wasn't fully explored and because of his actions, evoked no positive emotions and felt more like an on-screen enemy who tried to redeem himself towards the end. But due to limited screen time, they couldn't fully realize this. But would the film's runtime have increased that much if they had added a couple of lines from Tommy to Duke and vice versa? The scene in the pigsty isn't bad, because Tommy, like a real father, decided to knock some sin and this son, but otherwise he gave him no advice and Duke didn't try to ask him anything at all. Regarding the positive aspects, I actually tried to single out at least something related specifically to the plot that counts as a positive moment to call this film great, but I couldn't. Some of the positive aspects you can add include the atmosphere and camera work, the swagger, the acting and the nostalgia added to this film through the returning characters, the larger scale of the problem. It wasn't easy at all and the film crew put the hundreds of hours to create not just another stretched out episode, but a fully fledged film, so I guess they deserve credit for the attempt. Moreover, a story doesn't always have to have a happy ending. The very approach to shooting to film the laid groundwork for the plot, at the cold, silent shot of the street of World War II Birmingham carry with them unempathic characters who are exhausted by the horrors of this world. They walk in step with helplessness and can no longer convey as many emotions as they used to in times of peace. And if you ask whether the film is enough to conclude the story, you can definitely say yes, but I wouldn't add it to the list of the best.
The film turned out to be incredibly emotional, gloomy. They decided to draw a final line with this film and end Tommy's story. It's actually sad to say goodbye to a character like this, and the story in season 6 would have been enough in a way, but now all the questions have been automatically answered. And in general, the entire film is shot in a gloomy, gritty style, capturing all the coldness of the foggy, wet street. Seriously, the cinematography here is just off the charts. This neighborhood, the smoke, the thick Liverpool fog, the perpetual grim underfoot and stark shadows. While watching, you literally want to throw a warm tweed coat and pour yourself a glass of Irish whiskey. The visuals perfectly complement Tommy's sullen state. The picture is just as broken, gloomy, but with his sound signature that aesthetic. So, what did you think about the ending? Did you cry at the scene in the docks, or were you expecting something else? Share your thoughts in the comments, let's discuss it. Hit that like, subscribe, and see you in the next video. See you soon!